Ever had one of those moments, like a really strong gut feeling about something, and then bam, it actually happens?
Yeah, those aha moments, right?
Exactly. Well, today, we're really diving deep into this fascinating idea.
Mhm.
What if our imagination isn't just, daydreaming?
What if it's actually, well, shaping the world around us?
Precisely. We're going to look at some pretty profound spiritual ideas and also a really interesting personal story to see how this imagination reality thing might actually work.
And for this exploration, we're pulling from a few different places. We've got some theological thinking, the incredible poetry of William Blake.
Oh, Blake, yeah, always mind-bending.
Definitely. And we're grounding it all with this modern story about a woman and how her inner life seemed to just manifest outwardly.
So the goal here is really to offer maybe a fresh way of looking at how your own inner world, your imagination, could be influencing your day-to-day stuff. Maybe find some shortcuts to understanding this connection.
Let's jump in.
Okay, so this core idea, Paul, the Apostle Paul, he talked about people getting really focused on external things, like
Right.
observing certain days or seasons.
Right, like rituals, missing something deeper maybe.
Exactly. And this is where we hit this really powerful concept,
Hmm.
that the Spirit of God, that divine essence in our own human imagination, they might actually be, well, one and the same, or at least deeply connected.
The spirit of God and the human imagination are one. That's the quote, isn't it? It's quite a statement.
It really is, and it ties straight into Blake, like you mentioned.
Yeah, Blake's vision on this is pretty staggering. He wrote, "One must be all and comprehend within himself all things, both small and great."
So everything contained within the individual, that's huge.
It suggests this profound unity, right? Like everything comes from the same source. And then he says, "All that I behold, though it appears without, it is within."
Within my imagination, of which this world of mortality is but a shadow. Yeah.
So the world out there, maybe just a reflection, a shadow even, of what's happening inside us.
Meaning, changing the inside could actually change the outside. Is that the implication?
That seems to be the core of it. And he goes further, saying, God only acts and is in existing beings or men.
Okay, unpack that a bit. Does that mean God isn't some separate entity?
Well, it suggests that the divine action, the creative force, happens through us. It's not distant, it's immanent within humanity.
So the one becomes many.
That's
Us.
right. And through our experiences as the many, we kind of circle back to realizing we're all part of that one.
Like drops in the ocean, sort of.
Exactly like that. And this idea of being lifted up, it's not just one person maybe, but a potential for everyone. But it has to happen within each of us individually.
Okay, theoretically, that's fascinating. But, how does this actually look? Let's get into that story, the one about the lady and her husband, Ray.
Yes, this is a great example. She talks about deliberately imagining specific things she wanted or needed.
It wasn't just vague wishing, was it?
Not at all. She vividly pictured a new roof on their house. She imagined swapping her old sewing machine for a new one. She even described imagining a lightweight tape recorder, feeling how light it was as she pretended to put it away.
Wow, that's specific. And didn't her husband complain about his shoes?
He did. New shoes hurting his feet, and she consciously imagined them not hurting, feeling comfortable.
Okay, so she's doing all this imagining.
Yeah.
And then
And then something completely unexpected happens. They get robbed.
robbed. Okay. Definitely not something anyone would imagine wanting.
Of course not. But here's the twist. The insurance payout they received was just over $2,000.
And, let me guess.
Well, that amount happened to be enough to cover the cost of a new roof, exactly like she'd imagined. It covered a new lightweight recorder.
No way.
Yes. And there was even a good chunk of money left over.
So the money matched the things she'd been vividly picturing.
Pretty closely, yeah. Which leads to this really provocative question she herself asked. Who instigated the robbery?
Meaning, could her own imagining have somehow unconsciously set the stage for it, even though the event itself was negative?
It forces you to consider that, doesn't it? Could the robbery have been the unlikely means for her imaginal acts to become real? An unseen cause?
That really brings us to this idea of invisible causation. And it connects to that first statement from the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Exactly. It's not just about forgiveness in the usual sense, maybe. It could also be about recognizing that people might be Well, moved by things they aren't aware of, these invisible imaginal currents.
Like puppets on strings they can't see.
In a way, and Blake chimes in again here, doesn't he? Every natural effect has a spiritual cause and not a natural.
And natural cause only seems
Right.
the fading vegetable memory.
Right, right. So what we see as the obvious cause and effect, maybe that's just the surface level.
The real cause is deeper, spiritual, imaginal.
That's what Blake suggests. And crucially, the lady in the story remembered her specific imaginal acts before the money showed up. She could trace it back.
Ah, so the memory wasn't fading for her in that instance. She connected the dots.
Exactly. Whereas often maybe we do forget the inner imaginal act that set things in motion. We move unwittingly, as the text says.
Like those examples of theft, the small-time thief versus the huge embezzlements. It makes you wonder about the real origins of those actions, beyond just grabbing cash.
What unseen imaginal pressures or patterns might be driving them? It loops back. Every natural effect has a spiritual imaginal cause. A natural cause only seems. It's a delusion of what? The fading memory.
We forget we planted the seed, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
So this takes us somewhere pretty deep about, well, God and us. This idea that God is somehow playing all the parts.
Even the thief, the hero, and the coward.
Yeah. That the divine might be enacting all these roles through people to bring these underlying imaginal structures into reality.
It connects to that idea of the self being like a mask, a persona, and underneath the mask.
The being within,
Yeah.
which is identified as God.
So we're like masks worn by a single actor playing countless roles across the stage of the world.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
And then there's this mention of celebrating God's death, which gets turned into sleep through mercy. There's Blake again, right? To Tirza.
Yes, it speaks to this idea of the divine willingly entering the human condition, the limitation, the sleep of separation out of mercy, and the idea that eternity exists and all things in eternity independent of creation, which was an act of mercy.
So creation wasn't the beginning of everything. Eternity was already there.
That's the concept. And then this quote, when I am lifted up, I will raise all unto me. It suggests that individual awakening isn't just personal.
It lifts everything, the whole universe somehow.
Because fundamentally, all things exist in the human imagination. So awakening within imagination potentially awakens everything contained within it.
Wow, okay. And the heavenly chorus singing about the fall into division and resurrection into unity.
It paints this picture of a grand cosmic drama played out in cycles. Division, then reunion.
So remembering Good Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's not just history.
It's more like a memorial, a reminder of a pattern, something already accomplished on one level, but that needs to be reenacted, experienced, realized within each of us.
Okay, let's bring this down to earth again with that personal story you mentioned earlier. The host meeting his future wife.
Right. This is a really compelling account. He describes this absolute certainty, this knowing the moment he met her that she would be his wife.
Even though there were, like, legal problems, she was married to someone else.
Exactly. Big hurdles.
No.
But despite those external facts, he persisted internally. He imagined specifically the feeling of being happily married to her. He lived in that state in his imagination.
Okay, so he's holding that imaginal state. And then what happened?
Well, something completely unexpected and frankly negative on the surface. He gets a phone call. She's been arrested for shoplifting.
Shoplifting, wow. That seems completely counterproductive to getting married.
You'd think so, right? But here's the thing. When he went to plead for leniency, he actually used the phrase that she was moving under compulsion.
Like the father forgive them idea, acting unwittingly.
Precisely. And the outcome of this whole unfortunate event, it directly led to her getting the divorce that was necessary for them to eventually marry.
So the shoplifting incident, as bad as it seemed, actually cleared the way.
It seems it did. It was the improbable mechanism that brought about the condition needed for his imaginal act being married to her to become a reality.
That is just wild. It really puts, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, in a different light, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests that even actions that seem destructive can be part of a larger, unseen pattern, fulfilling an imaginal blueprint. It's like treading in the winepress, as the text says. You have to go through the process, the crushing maybe, to get the desired outcome.
And it hammers home that core principle again. Imagining creates reality.
Unequivocally, and that all the objective facts in the world are produced through imagination. It's a radical claim.
And it implies we have power there. Even the power to, like, cancel an imagined outcome. To veto it if we change our minds.
That seems to be part of the teaching, yes. The power lies within the imaginal act itself.
Which naturally leads to, well, how do we trust this? It seems so counterintuitive sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's where verses like Isaiah 55:9 come in. My ways are higher than your ways and my thoughts than yours.
We don't always see the big picture, the how.
Exactly. And verse 11 assures us, my word, which could be seen as the imaginal act, the intention shall not return unto me void, but it must accomplish that which I purpose and prosper in the thing for which I sent it.
So the advice is, don't get bogged down trying to figure out how it's going to happen.
Pretty much. Trust the process. Because the same power, the source text points to Deuteronomy 32:39. I, even I, and he, I kill and I make alive, I wound, I heal, I do all these things, and none can deliver out of my hands.
Meaning that power operates through all events,
Yeah.
even the ones we label bad.
The seemingly negative things, like the robbery or the arrest, they can be the very pathway the imaginal act takes to manifest. It's about trusting that unseen wisdom.
Trust this teaching, it says. Have faith in your imaginal acts, even if you don't see results right away, or if they come in ways you didn't expect.
Mm-hmm. And that lady, the one with the roof and the recorder, her final thought really sums it up nicely.
What was that again?
She said, basically, you can call it imagination, some call it thought, but I know, because I remember what I did, that it does produce reality.
Simple, direct, based on her experience.
Exactly. And it comes back one last time to Blake. God only acts and is in existing beings or men. The power is here, now, within us.
So wrapping this deep dive up, the central thread seems to be this incredibly potent link between our imagination, that inner world, and maybe a larger divine creative force.
Yeah, suggesting our imaginal acts, the things we consistently feel and believe inwardly, have real tangible effects, even if the causal link isn't always obvious, often unseen.
Which leaves us with a pretty potent question to ponder, doesn't it? If your imagination really is this creative power, what are you, maybe unknowingly, bringing into your reality right now?
Or maybe look back. Consider some of those weird twists and turns in your own life. Could any of them connect back to some persistent inner state, some unseen causation rooted in your own imagination? Worth thinking about.